So we'll get started. Good to be with our frontline soldiers. What you are doing every day is simply impressive to us, and we appreciate it very, very much. Our heart goes out to those who have been furloughed or hours have been reduced as we've tried to work through this COVID crisis. Joanna, a little later, will remind us of some of the resources available to those who have been impacted. It's a tough world out there. I picked up the Wall Street Journal this morning, and Nissan and Honda have laid off 24,000 workers without pay, factory workers, and closed factories. So it's tough. It's a tough deal. I will say that's interesting that during this time, people seem to be a little kinder. Maybe you've noticed it. My wife and I were out walking Saturday evening, and I've lived in my neighborhood for 39 years. I know everybody, but saw some people that we've never known, and they stopped to equal distant stop to see how we were. And I found that interesting. In normal times, it might say hello, and that would be the end of it. We got a note, which I think I have here. Maybe I don't. Yes, I do. From Denny's team 6914, written to Shanna Rhodes. I want to read it to you. We as a team just want to thank you all. By the way, I love the language. Want to thank you for all the support and check on you all. As much stress as we are under at the unit, we know yours is 1,000 times worse. Thank you for everything you're doing to keep us working this far. Thank you for allowing some of our staff back when the sales reached a certain point. I've experienced new emotions the last month I've never known was possible. But getting to call back in a few people and hearing the sheer joy in their voices, like real joy, was a very important moment for me in all of this. I know you're busy, so I'll stop blabbering, but I just wanted to make sure someone is thanking you all for the hard work you're doing, and someone is making sure you're okay. We love that, but you got it backwards. We're the ones that should be thanking you and are thanking you. We had a big Krispy Kreme day in our Bakersfield store. We didn't have enough employees to handle it, and the employees from El Pollo Loco came over to help them out that day. And again, those things, they just didn't happen, but they're happening now. This is a time like we've never seen before. The economy shut down while we all try to avoid getting COVID-19 virus. There are 660,000 restaurants in the United States, and many are totally shut down, closed all employees furloughed or laid off. In the past 3 weeks, 17 million people have applied for unemployment. More than all that applied for unemployment in the Great Recession of 2009 and 2010. And it isn't just restaurants. We're one of the fortunate ones as we're classified as essential, and so we're still open. Look around at the retail stores, closed. You can't get a haircut. You can't get a car wash. GM, Ford, Boeing factories, and many more closed. Ford magazine had an article about most likely business to have to file bankruptcy. The list was astonishing to me. Nordstrom's, Macy's, Levi Strauss, and others. I had a call 2 days ago from Chris Bodie, Vice President of Operations for Denny's. He asked me how we're doing. I told him we were struggling, and we were struggling to make payroll this Wednesday at our Denny's, meaning yesterday. We were down 80% in sales for almost 3 weeks. He told me there were several franchisees that had not been able to make payroll. The good news for us is we did make payroll, and we intend to in the future. But you have to believe and you have to understand these are just plain difficult times. Our government has shut down the economy, has provided a lifeline for us and small business, a PPP loan, if you've heard of it, Paycheck Protection Program. We've applied for 13 of these loans, one from each company we operate that has a payroll. So far, we have loan approval of 3 of our largest restaurant companies, Denny's, El Pollo Loco, and Wendy's, and one of our small entities. If we follow all the rules laid out by the government, these loans will be forgiven or partially forgiven. This is a huge help to us. In this crisis, we have to accept the brutal facts of the COVID reality. We have to make changes and adjustments to our business. For those familiar with the Stockdale paradox, author Jim Collins does a good job summarizing in his book, Good to Great, this paradox. This paradox is a help to me in dealing with this crisis, and it may be a help to you. The name refers to Admiral Jim Stockdale, who was the highest-ranking United States military officer in the Hanoi Hilton prisoner of war camp during the height of the Vietnam War. He was tortured over 20 times during his 8-year imprisonment from 1965 to 1973. Stockdale lived out the war without any prisoner's rights, no set release date, no certainty as to whether he would ever even survive or ever see his family again. He shouldered the burden of command, doing everything he could to create conditions that would increase the number of prisoners who would survive unbroken while fighting an internal war against his captors and their attempts to use prisoners for propaganda. At one point, he beat himself with a stool and cut himself with a razor, deliberately disfiguring himself so that he could not be put on videotape as an example of a well-treated prisoner. He exchanged secret intelligence information with his wife through their letters, knowing that discovery would mean more torture, perhaps death. He instituted rules that would help people deal with torture. No one can resist torture indefinitely, so he created a stepwise system. After X minutes, you can say certain things. That gave the men milestones to survive toward. He instituted an elaborate internal communication system to reduce the sense of isolation that their captives tried to create, which used a 5x5 matrix of tap codes for alpha characters. Tap tap equals the letter A. Tap pause tap tap equals the letter B. Tap tap pause tap equals the letter F, and so forth. For 25 letters, C doubling in for K. At one point during the imposed silence, the prisoners mopped and swept the central yard using a code swish-washing out, "We love you," to Stockdale. On the 3rd anniversary of his release, Stockdale became the first 3-star officer in the history of the Navy to wear both aviator wings and a Congressional Medal of Honor. How on earth did he deal with it when he did not know to the end of the story? Meaning when he was in prison, he didn't know what was going to happen. Stockdale said, "I never lost faith in the end of the story." He said, when I asked him, meaning Collins asked him, "I never doubted not only that I would get out, but also that I would prevail in the end and turn this experience into the defining event of my life, which in retrospect, I would not trade." Finally, Collins asked, "Who didn't make it out?" "Oh, that's easy," Stockdale said. "The optimists." "The optimists? I don't understand." Now completely confused given what he'd said earlier. Stockdale said the optimists, they were the ones who said we're going to be out by Christmas. And Christmas would come and Christmas would go. Then they say we're going to be out by Easter, and Easter would come and Easter would go. And then Thanksgiving, and then it would be Christmas again. And they died of a broken heart. This is a very important lesson. You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. The Stockdale paradox is actually this: retain faith that you will prevail in the end, regardless of the difficulties, and at the same time, confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. What we've been focused on here is the brutal facts of this crisis. Denny's down 80%. No company in America is built to withstand sales down 80%. El Pollo Loco down 40%. Wendy's down 20%. Blaze Pizza down about 25%. Krispy Kreme is positive, a shining star. So this is what we've done. Razor focused on labor in the restaurants. We meet every single day, including Saturday, to, among other things, review the sales and the labor. Many hourly people have lost many hours, and some are getting 0 hours. We've asked our landlords to allow us not to pay rent for 3 months. We've worked with our banks and either asked them to forgo all payments or at least allow us to pay interest only for 3 months. We work with our suppliers and ask for more favorable terms. Here's some examples, and I have many. I'm going to read you just a few. From People Services, Joanna and JC working on this. ADP payroll. The cost of payroll the billing has been delayed 90 days. So in April, it'll save us $29,000, May $29,000, June $29,000. ADP Smart Compliance, savings in April, $2,100. Same in May and June. UHC Medical, our medical insurance, billing delayed 60 days, giving us a savings in April of $181,000, in May $181,000. Kaiser Medical, delayed 2 months, $79,000 in April, $79,000 in May. And I can go on the list. They've done a great job. IT, a whole list. Dish, TVs at Denny's, service suspended, savings $3,334 a month. Knowledge Relay, development of Domo project, savings $14,000 a month. Log Me In Access, one-time credit $450. And there's a list here that we've worked on. Every single thing we can think about, we've tried to work on. We've now closed 50 Denny's. We have closed Corner Bakery. We've furloughed 12 people in the support center, and 5 additional people have been asked to go on to halftime. We try to be as fair as we can. We try to help them get to the next, to the paycheck and then to unemployment. We've cut car allowances, gas cards. I've reduced my salary to 0, and we'll leave it there until we get through this crisis. We are laser focused on keeping this ship floating so that all 11,000 employees can get back, can get back on it when the country reopens. We appreciate each one of you and what you've done, and we're open to your suggestions if you see things that maybe we've missed. For all those who have been impacted financially or any other way, we express our sincere condolences and our hope that this crisis will end soon. Having been through many other tribulations, as I like to call them, there are things to learn, ways to get better, and opportunities to take advantage of. Admiral Jim Stockdale, years after getting out of the war camp, said, "I never doubted, not that I would get out, but also that I would prevail in the end, and turn this experience into the defining event of my life, which in retrospect, I would not trade." You have to really think about that for someone 8 years in a prisoner of war camp that I would not trade. I also, in these tough times, rely on my faith, and I know we'll get through this, and this is the way it works. In this process, the strong will get stronger, the marginal weaker, and the weak will die. We've got a good agenda for you. We've got good information. We've got some great people that are participating. First, we're going to hear from Mike.